Well, welcome to the Church Fails podcast, where we bring our failures out into the open so we can laugh together and learn something along the way. In this episode, we're going to be talking about new songs that fail. But for those of you who don't know me, my name's Kade. I'm the creator of Collaborate Worship and the lead pastor at No Limits Church.
My name's Dillon. I am the creative director at Collaborate Worship and the worship leader at No Limits Church.
And we're brothers.
And we are brothers. Yep. We haven't said that in a while.
I know.
Now, if you're a worship leader, then you know the struggle of introducing a new song. Doesn't always go like you envision it in that noggin of yours.
It's going to be awesome.
You know, you might be like super pumped about it. It's a song that you've been listening to for a while. You love it. It's really ministered to you. Like, I just know the song is going to minister everybody else the same way it did.
Got you crying in your bedroom. I mean, it's going to be so good.
And then you get, so then you do the song on a Sunday. You're pumped about it. And what do you get? A bunch of blank stares. You been there, Kade?
Never.
Because
I always listen to the Holy Spirit when I chose my songs.
Okay. And so you think, well, maybe they'll get into it once they've learned the words. You know, they just need a chance. Then 4 weeks later, they're still giving you some blank stares. So, Kade, tell us about some of your new song fails. And then later on, we'll hear about what you learned in your years as a worship leader.
So it's been almost 2 years since I was a worship leader. That's when I transitioned to lead pastor. So honestly, it's kind of getting to that point where it's been long enough that I don't remember specifics of things. So I can't like really pinpoint specific songs that have failed, or maybe that's because there were so many that I'm not able to pinpoint the ones that failed. But one thing that I can think back to, and the song that stands out to me is, you know, the song Forever by Carrie Job. The church liked it, but the band didn't like it at first anyway. And one of my worship team members, they shared their opinion. And I remember him saying, he's like, I can't stand Carrie Job. Her voice is so plain, which opened the door during worship team practice for everybody else to share their opinion. And that was a real struggle. Yep. Has that ever happened to you?
I don't know. Maybe I picked better songs than you.
Or maybe the worship team was just more rowdy whenever I was.
Maybe so. Maybe they shouldn't like that era of worship music.
Yeah. I don't know. I can remember that rehearsal, though, like it was yesterday. That really hurt my feeling.
I feel like I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
I know
you probably joined in.
Probably so. I was playing bass guitar at the time. I don't know if was the first time we did it because we had another bass player. But yeah, I think I kind of remember that.
Things that I learned from that, though. Don't drop the song just because a musician doesn't like it, because it's tempting, especially if it's a key musician on your team, maybe somebody who's older than you. You're kind of tempted to follow, you know, what they want to do. Mm-hmm. But also at the same time, like, you can't let your band be afraid to have a voice. Like, if you shut down every opinion and every idea that they have, I mean, do you really have a team, or is it just you?
Yeah.
You know? Because in the end, what I found is that, like, even if the worship team or a worship team member didn't like the song, if the congregation engaged, then they would end up being okay with it. Yeah. They may not love it, but they'd be like, you know what? I see that everybody else is singing, so I'll start playing this with a good attitude.
And if they don't, you can just tell them tough luck.
Yep, pretty much.
You're here to serve.
But you're more recent in this because you're leading worship right now.
Yeah.
So you have some recent fails to pull from. So why don't you talk about 2 songs that have failed?
Well, first, if you're wondering if we still do Forever, we do not do it regularly. We pull it out on Easter sometimes, and the church loves it on Easter.
Yep.
And the band tolerates it for at least one Sunday out of the year. I mean, I like the song. It's a good song.
It is a good song. Classic.
Yeah, we just don't do it all the time anymore, so That's all right. Anyway, so one of the songs I wanted to talk about that we introduced is one that I'm sure everybody knows. It's Tremble by Mosaic Music. Mm-hmm. Is it Mosaic Music or Mosaic MSC?
Does MSC stand for music?
I always thought it did. I don't know. People are probably laughing at us right now. Anyway, you know.
We're from Oklahoma.
Yeah. You know the song. I'm sure of it. And we jumped on the bandwagon pretty late. I knew about it as soon as it started blowing up. It's definitely their most popular song, for sure. And I would see churches singing it and like, that'd be a really cool song to do. I don't know what took me so long to introduce it. But then came the time I was like, all right, we're going to try it out at our church. I think they're going to love it. Every other church loves it. Why wouldn't they? And
It's going to look just like those videos.
yeah.
That you see from the other church.
But it seemed like every church, like the congregation just loved it everywhere. I don't know, maybe it was misleading, but we did it, and we got those blank stares the first Sunday. And I was like, okay, maybe they didn't catch on to the lyrics yet. That's cool. And I think we did it 3 more times. We did a total of 4 times. And at the end of that 4th time, it seemed like they still weren't getting it. Maybe there had been one Sunday where they kind of connected, but that's it. Out of all 4 of those, they only connected with it on one Sunday. And so I was like, okay, we'll give it a couple more times, maybe later on. We'll give it a couple weeks break, and we'll bring it back and see how they feel about it. Again, same thing, some blank stares, not really any connection at all. I was like, what the heck? It's such a good song, and it seems like everybody loves it, but I guess it just wasn't for our church. And so usually when I come across a song like that, I go to Kade's wife, Beth, who's still on the worship team. She's kind of like my assistant worship leader, I would say. I'm like, what do you think, Beth?
We also call her the whole shooter.
Yeah, the whole shooter.
If there's something wrong with your idea, she's going to find it.
Yeah. And so she's gauging the congregation just as much as I am in the worship service. And I'm like, what do you think? Do you think they connected with it at all? She's like, no. I think we need to cut that one out.
I've been waiting for you to ask.
So yeah, that one didn't last very long. And that was a bummer because it's a good song. I don't really know a person that doesn't like it. I don't really think that anybody disliked it. They just didn't connect with it like they needed to.
Let's try to diagnose that though and put it to words. I know that you probably haven't thought too deeply into it, which I don't know that's not necessary on songs that don't work. You don't have to do this. But I'm just curious, why did it not work? It's obviously a good song. It connects with other churches. And the question that actually comes to mind is I got to experience that song from the congregation. You only experienced it from the stage. So I had a different perspective. Mm-hmm. And my question is, did the gal that you had lead the song, did she connect with the song?
I think she did.
Okay.
I think she told me she did. Didn't we try it with her and Beth?
I only remember it with her.
I think we practiced it with Beth one time, Kade's wife, and it just didn't fit her voice as well. I think it may have been a little bit too high for her, so we would have had to drop it down, and it didn't sound quite right. And it didn't fit the other gal singing it very well either. She didn't do bad, but I just don't think it was the best fit for her voice either. So we just didn't really have anybody that could pull it off super well and do it justice, maybe.
I don't know. I think it sounded good.
You think it did?
She's a really good vocalist.
Yeah, she is.
And her high notes are really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, when she gets into her upper register, that's kind of one of those moments that gives you chills. And she would sing forever too and hit those higher ones and sound really good. So I think it sounded good, but watching her, it just felt disconnected every time that she sang it. I don't know if maybe she didn't connect with the lyrics of the song or the style of the song or what, but that's from the other perspective, from the congregation's perspective, that would be my diagnosis, is the lead vocal didn't connect with the song. So you really don't have a chance at anybody else connecting with it.
Yeah. And that's really cool. I mean, we all have songs that we don't connect with when we lead them. Mm-hmm. We all have those songs. We really didn't have anybody else that song would fit well for. So
yeah,
I couldn't sing it, obviously.
Yep.
So just retire it.
That really brings up an interesting thought that I've never thought of, is you always choose, pick the vocalist for the song based on where it fits in their register and things. Who's going to sound the best, and deliver it the best. But maybe you got to go one step deeper and actually think about, are they going to be able to connect with the lyrics of this song and deliver this song, with conviction?
Yeah. I would say I started out thinking mostly how's this going to fit vocally and musically.
Yeah.
But I think a lot more now about, are the lyrics going to connect? Now that I've had 2 years of seeing what the congregation connects with and kind of gauging their reaction to specific songs that I've introduced, I feel like I have a pretty good idea of how complicated the lyrics need to be for them to connect, because they don't really do very well with Bethel. We live in Oklahoma. We're not a very poetic state. Bethel's music is pretty poetic. It's beautiful, but our congregation just doesn't connect with it.
Yep.
I've introduced a lot of Elevation. I think their lyrics are just really simple, and they're really singable in my opinion. And our church is connected really well with Elevation. And so those have gone over pretty well. I tend to kind of stick with certain worship groups that I found write songs we connect with. I think that's totally cool. I try to branch out a little bit every now and then. We recently started doing a lot of Highlands. We didn't used to do any of them, and the church is loving it. They're eating it up. So I'm really glad we found out about Highlands when we did, because it's been a blessing to our church.
Yeah,
so.
For sure. I like that point about Bethel, because It was the same thing whenever I was leading worship. I loved Bethel songs.
Uh-huh.
I think every worship leader loves Bethel songs.
They're
You're like,
beautiful.
this is so awesome. Yeah, beautiful. It's just the musicality of it's beautiful. The lyrics are beautiful. And then you bring it to a bunch of people who aren't worship leaders, and they're just like, what? Like they just kind of look at you like, what did we just sing?
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
Yeah. But I like it.
You guys need to like this too.
And you probably try to explain the lyrics to them and they're just still not getting it. All right, time to retire. But I want to move on to one more song that I wanted to talk about, and that's Who You Say I Am.
Hillsong.
Hillsong.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody knows this one too. It blew up there for a little bit.
I am who you say I am.
Just like the title says. Thank you for singing that for us. And I think, if I remember correctly, they seemed to really catch on to it the first couple times we did it. Like, all right, they're really liking this song. Cool. And that's one of those songs that I don't want to have a ton of in the set because it's a lot more about us than it is about God. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just don't think they should be the majority of what you sing.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might agree with that. Some people might not. That's cool. Anyway.
They just turned you off right there.
Yeah.
Regardless of where you're at, just stick with us.
Yeah. So we introduced it. We didn't have a ton of songs like that at the time. And I was like, this is going to be a really good one like that because I want to have a few of them. And they seemed to really connect with it the first couple times. You remember when we introduced that?
I remember.
You liked the song though, so you connected with it.
Yeah.
And we did it for a couple of months, and the excitement about it just seemed to die off, and everybody just seemed to be burned out within a couple months.
Is that a one and done type of song?
I guess so. I don't know what it was, but about 2 months in, we did it, and we just got those blank stares, and they knew the lyrics. They had a few Sundays where they really connected with it. I was like, that's really weird. So we did it a few more times and same thing. They just turned off. And so I went to Beth again. I was like, what do you think? She's like, yeah, I think we better cut that one out too. I don't know. That was a really weird situation. I didn't really understand that one, but
I feel like this is like where I can reveal to you the problems of the songs session.
Yeah, go for it. Tell me what I need to hear.
And I don't think it's because I have some kind of superpower. I think it's just because I'm on the other side of this now, and there's things you don't see when you're on stage.
Yeah.
But that song, I remember, that was an execution problem, I think. Like the band just really never figured it out. Like it never felt like it went anywhere. Like you know how songs like have to have a progression. It can't just be like it feels like the same all the way through, like as far as dynamics go.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one that almost felt the same all the way through the song. And so it does get tiring, which would explain why it looks like people are burned out from it, because it just, I don't know, it just didn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what we could have done. I think it's kind of that song anyway. Like it's one that anyone's going to struggle with to figure out the dynamics of that song. Maybe I think the melodies are pretty like in this like small area. So you can't rely on the vocal to take it somewhere. It's all in the band. If the band's just kind of like hitting the same chords the whole way through, then yeah.
That makes sense. I think it's just one of those songs you pull out every now and then.
Yeah.
Don't give it a heavy rotation.
Maybe it just needs like a little rewrite musicality for a smaller band. Like maybe the big band, it makes sense the way that it was written, but you just can't really execute that
Yeah.
in a small setting.
Yeah, that makes me want to pull it back out and see what we can do with it.
Yeah.
Huh. I'll keep that in mind.
Yep.
But I'm sure everybody's had a few songs like that.
Yep. But I would say that in most cases, you're not going to know if a song is going to resonate with your congregation until the third consecutive week. So like the first week, you're going to get the blank stares on almost any song. There are those few though, that like the first time you introduce it, like everybody's lit about it. I don't know if it's because they've been hearing it on the radio or like what the connection is here, but that's always really exciting as a worship leader. But sometimes they'll smile at you the first song, but mostly it's just, or the first week, just blank stares. And the second week, your avid singers, like the ones who just love worship almost as much as you do as a worship leader, like they'll try to join in, like they'll kind of fumble over the words. They'll sing the chorus at least, and maybe the bridge if it's easy to catch on to. But then by the third week, like most of your congregation should be kind of like trying to get into the chorus or trying to get into the bridge. But they'll still struggle with the verses, and that's okay. And they may struggle with the verses forever because some of the verses are
we
really
struggle
weird.
with the verses.
No doubt. But if by this third week you look out and it's still not resonating with people, you probably need to cut it.
Mm.
But I'd say you at least got to give it 3 weeks. What's your timeline?
I'd say 3 weeks. cut it off for
consecutive.
Yeah, do it 3 weeks consecutively. Cut it off for a month and bring it back like a month later, and see what it's like at that point.
Yeah,
give it another week.
Yep. And I think you already touched on this, but your kind of main takeaway from why some songs work and some songs don't. Go ahead and give that to him.
So I just want to reiterate that, just because a song does well in a lot of other churches doesn't mean it's going to connect with your congregation. And there are songs that have become really popular here recently that I've been hesitant to do because I'm just like, I don't know that they'd really connect with that as well, just from what I've learned over the last 2 years. And there's some that it's probably because I really don't like it that much, and maybe I just need to get over it and try them out. I'm trying to think of one in specific. We were talking about one the other day that we both don't like, but a lot of people love it. You remember what that was?
Oh, we probably shouldn't even say it. We want to start a fight?
No, that's a good point.
Oh, might as well. It's The Blessing. Isn't it? Isn't that what we were talking about?
Yeah, there was another one too, though.
Yeah.
I like The Blessing. I just don't think it's a regular rotation kind of song.
I like The Blessing too. Like, I wouldn't listen to it every day. I like the messaging of it. And the style of it's pretty cool, but.
Oh, it was Waymaker. Everybody loves that song.
Yep.
Waymaker.
Miracle worker.
I don't know. I don't dislike it. I don't know what it is. I just didn't really want to do it.
Yeah.
But maybe our congregation would like it. Maybe I should just get over it and try it out. What do you think? Maybe
we should just test it.
Yeah.
We can see what happens.
That's something I've thought about lately, though, because there are some songs that probably would work, and I have something against it for some reason, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it just because I don't like it.
That's a struggle.
Yeah.
Putting your personal preferences aside.
Yeah. I think we tend to pick songs by our personal preference initially, but I mean, it's important that the worship leader likes a song, but you don't have to like them all at the same level, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Because I think even if you didn't like it at first, if you tried it out and the congregation loved it, you'd end up loving it, because that's the whole point that you're there anyway, is to get them to engage in worship. So whatever gets them there,
Yeah. I would say keep notes when you're introducing new songs. Really analyze it. If they are not connecting with it and you end up cutting it, try to figure out why and write that down so you have those notes for later on. And when you're thinking, oh, this would be a really good song to introduce, and you can go back to those notes and hit it against those points of why you think they didn't connect with that last song. And by that, you might find out that this is probably going to be a really good one, or this is maybe not going to be a good one, and it'll help you to not fall on your face when you introduce new songs. Yeah, because I don't think I've really had any strikeouts in a while. Not because I'm just good at picking songs, but I think I've just started to figure out what they connect with.
Yeah. Just takes time.
Yeah, it takes
You've
time.
been at it for almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
And it took you about that long to figure it out, probably?
Yeah. And 2 years really isn't even that long. I still feel like I'm a new worship leader.
Yeah.
But if you're like a really fresh worship leader, don't be discouraged. Give it some time. You'll figure it out. And take some notes. That's my encouragement. It
reminds me of a principle in business. They always say hire slow, fire fast. And maybe that's something that works for song selection too. Pick your new song slow. Really think through it. But when something isn't working, 3 weeks in, kick it to the curb. But what about all that work that we put into it?
Yeah.
Get rid of it. Because, I think that most churches hang on to things way too long, just in general, including songs. And there may be even churches out there that have been singing a song for the last 10 years that's not working.
Yeah. We do still do a lot of songs that we've been doing for a long time, but they still work.
Yeah, they work.
Yeah.
And how do we know if they work? It's all an engagement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are people engaging with it? Then it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really good feeling when you introduce a new song and then you see one of your congregation members post about it on Facebook like the following week. You're like, oh yeah, somebody got it.
They're even listening to it throughout the week. Not just on Sunday.
Yeah, that's a good feeling. So, I mean, if you can find songs like that they connect with so well that they'll listen to it throughout the week, that's a home run in my opinion.
Agreed. So, well, awesome. Hopefully you have found this encouraging. If you've picked a song that did not work out, you're not alone. We all go through that, and it's okay. Just have the courage to get rid of it and find something else, because there's lots of great songs out there. If there's one thing we'd like you to do at the end of this podcast, it's to subscribe so that we can let you know when the next one comes out. And also, while you're at it, go ahead and tell one of your worship leader friends about the podcast so they can laugh with you and learn something along the way. We'll catch you next time.
Peace.